Emma Thompson has never denied that Kenneth Branagh betrayed her. What she did not talk about for many years was how she herself felt when that marriage fell apart.
Fans saw smiles and affectio. Millions of fans saw Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh as the perfect Hollywood love story. They were talented, successful, and deeply admired. But behind the red carpets and award-winning performances, a painful secret was slowly tearing their marriage apart. Years later, Emma finally revealed what really happened, how heartbreak changed her life, and why the betrayal that shocked Hollywood became one of the most important turning points in her journey. And the truth is even more powerful than many people. Long before the headlines, the rumors, and the heartbreak, Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh were one of the most admired couples in British entertainment. In the late 1980s, both were rising stars with bright futures ahead of them. Emma was known for her intelligence, wit, and natural acting talent. Kenneth was being called one of the most promising actors and directors of his generation. Their paths crossed while working in the world of theater and film, and a strong connection quickly formed between them. To many people, they seemed like a perfect match. They shared a love for acting, literature, and storytelling. Both were ambitious, hardworking, and deeply respected by their peers. As their careers grew, so did their relationship. In 1989, they married, beginning what many believed would be one of Hollywood's most lasting partnerships. The public loved them. Whenever they appeared together at premieres or award ceremonies, they looked happy and united. Interviews often showed their playful chemistry and mutual admiration. Fans saw two talented artists building a successful life together while supporting each other's dreams. But what made their story so special was not just fame. It was the sense that they genuinely understood each other. As Kenneth's directing career expanded, Emma's acting career also reached new heights. She earned praise for her performances and became one of the most respected actresses in the industry. Together they appeared unstoppable. Yet success often comes with hidden pressures. Behind every award, every movie premiere, and every public appearance were demanding schedules, long periods apart, and the constant pressure of life in the spotlight. These challenges are difficult for any relationship, even one that appears strong from the outside. At the time, however, very few people noticed anything unusual. The world saw smiles, success, and a marriage that looked solid. Nobody could imagine that cracks were already beginning to form beneath the surface. And while fans celebrated their achievements, events were quietly unfolding that would eventually change both of their lives forever. The couple that seemed to have everything was heading toward a chapter neither of them could have predicted. What happened next would not only end a marriage. It would become one of the most talked about relationship stories in Hollywood and leave emotional scars that lasted for years. As the 1990s began, Emma Thompson and Kenneth Branagh were at the peak of their careers. Their names were becoming known far beyond Britain. Critics praised their work, filmmakers wanted to collaborate with them, and audiences admired their talent. From the outside, it looked like they were living a dream that few people ever achieve. But life inside that dream was becoming increasingly complicated. Kenneth was building a reputation as a director while continuing to act in major projects. Emma was also becoming one of the most sought-after actresses in the industry. Their schedules became packed with filming, interviews, travel, and public appearances. Success brought opportunities. It also brought distance. Days turned into weeks spent on different sets. Professional commitments often came before personal time. Like many couples working in the entertainment industry, they faced the challenge of balancing marriage with demanding careers. At first, they appeared to manage it well. Whenever cameras were present, they remained the picture of a successful partnership. Reporters wrote about their achievements. Few people questioned whether anything was wrong. Yet the reality behind closed doors was far more complex. Relationships are often tested when both partners are chasing ambitious goals. The pressure to succeed can slowly create emotional gaps that are difficult to notice at first. Small issues get ignored. Important conversations are delayed. Feelings that once seemed easy to share become harder to express. For Emma and Kenneth, the pressure was building. And then came a project that would later become a major turning point. During the mid-1990s, Kenneth worked closely with actress Helena Bonham Carter on several productions. At the time, they were simply colleagues working together. No major headlines appeared immediately. The public had little reason to suspect anything unusual. But behind the scenes, rumors slowly began to circulate. The entertainment world is often filled with gossip, and not every rumor is true. Yet whispers about growing closeness between Kenneth and Helena started reaching people around them. Emma, meanwhile, was continuing her own demanding career while trying to hold her personal life together. What made the situation even more difficult was that much of it remained hidden from public view. Fans still believed they were watching one of the strongest couples in the industry. The world saw success. The world saw awards. The world saw a glamorous marriage. But it did not see the uncertainty that was beginning to grow beneath the surface. And soon, those private struggles would become impossible to ignore. Before we continue, here's a question for you. What do you think puts the most pressure on celebrity relationships? Fame, busy schedules, or public attention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What happened next would transform a private marital crisis into a story that would dominate headlines and leave Emma facing one of the most painful moments of her life. As the years passed, something remarkable happened. The intense pain that once dominated Emma Thompson's life slowly began to lose its power. The memories never disappeared completely. Major heartbreaks rarely do. But time gave Emma something she did not have during the darkest days of her divorce: perspective. Looking back, she could see the story more clearly. She could see the mistakes, the emotions, and the complicated realities that often exist behind broken relationships. Most importantly, she began to understand that holding on to anger would not change the past. It would only continue hurting the present. This realization became one of the most important turning points in her personal journey. Many people expected bitterness. Many expected resentment. Instead, Emma gradually chose forgiveness. That did not mean she approved of what happened. It did not mean the betrayal was acceptable. It simply meant she no longer wanted the pain to control her life. Over time, Emma spoke publicly about reaching a place of peace. Her comments surprised many people who assumed the wounds would never fully heal. Even more surprising was her attitude toward Helena Bonham Carter. Years after the affair that had helped end her marriage, Emma revealed that she and Helena had moved beyond the past. Rather than continuing a public feud, they found a way to leave old conflicts behind. For many observers, this seemed almost impossible. After all, Hollywood is filled with stories of lifelong grudges and public battles. Yet Emma's approach was different. She understood that everyone involved had moved forward with their lives. Kenneth Branagh continued building a successful career as an actor and director. Helena Bonham Carter established herself as one of the most recognizable actresses of her generation. And Emma herself found happiness, stability, and professional success. The years had changed all of them. More importantly, the years had changed Emma. She was no longer the heartbroken woman struggling to understand a painful betrayal. She was stronger, wiser, more confident in who she was. And that transformation carries a lesson that extends far beyond celebrity culture. Many people watching this have experienced disappointment, rejection, or betrayal in their own lives. Sometimes it feels impossible to move on. Sometimes the pain seems permanent. But Emma's story reminds us that even the deepest wounds can heal with time, growth, and self-respect. The hardest chapters are often the ones that teach us the most about ourselves. Yet despite finding peace, there was still one final piece of the story. Years later, Emma would speak with a level of honesty that gave the public a deeper understanding of what she had truly endured. And when she finally shared that truth, people saw not just a celebrity, but a survivor. For many years, Emma Thompson rarely spoke in detail about the collapse of her marriage. She continued working, raising her family, and building a remarkable career. To the public, it seemed as though she had simply moved on. But as time passed, Emma became more open about what she had experienced. And when she finally reflected on those years, her honesty surprised many people. Rather than telling a story filled with anger or revenge, Emma spoke about heartbreak in a deeply human way. She admitted that the betrayal had hurt her profoundly. She talked about the emotional damage that follows when trust is broken. She described the experience as something that left lasting scars, even though she eventually healed. What made her comments so powerful was their sincerity. There was no dramatic attack. No attempt to settle old scores. No effort to rewrite history. Instead, Emma spoke as someone who had lived through pain and learned from it. She openly acknowledged that heartbreak changes people. It forces them to confront difficult truths about themselves, their relationships, and the expectations they place on others. For viewers and fans, these reflections revealed a side of Emma that was even more inspiring than her award-winning performances. The world already knew she was talented. The world already knew she was successful. Now people saw her resilience. They saw a woman who had faced public humiliation, personal loss, and emotional devastation, and still found a way forward. One of the reasons her story continues to resonate is because it is not really about celebrity gossip. It is about something almost everyone understands: loss, disappointment, broken trust, and the challenge of rebuilding after life takes an unexpected turn. Emma's willingness to discuss those experiences helped many people see their own struggles differently. Her message was never that pain is easy. Her message was that pain does not have to be permanent. By speaking honestly about her past, she transformed what could have remained a painful memory into something meaningful. A lesson, a source of strength, a reminder that survival itself can become a victory. And perhaps that is the real truth Emma finally shared. Not simply what happened between her and Kenneth Branagh, but what happened to her afterward. Because the most important part of the story was never the betrayal. It was the person she became after it. What remains now is the legacy of that journey, and why people continue talking about it decades later. Decades have passed since the breakup that once dominated entertainment headlines. The world has changed. Hollywood has changed. And the people at the center of the story have changed as well. Yet Emma Thompson's journey continues to resonate because it touches something universal. Most people will never walk a red carpet. Most people will never win major awards or appear in blockbuster films. But almost everyone understands heartbreak. Almost everyone knows what it feels like when life suddenly takes a direction they never expected. That is why Emma's story remains so powerful. What began as a painful chapter involving one of Hollywood's most famous couples eventually became a story about resilience, growth, and personal transformation. Today, Emma Thompson is celebrated not only for her extraordinary acting career but also for the strength she demonstrated during difficult times. Her achievements speak for themselves. Award-winning performances, international recognition, a career spanning decades. But perhaps her greatest accomplishment happened away from the cameras. She refused to allow one painful experience to define her future. Instead of remaining trapped by the past, she built a life filled with purpose, creativity, family, and continued success. Meanwhile, Kenneth Branagh also continued his career, becoming one of the most respected directors and actors of his generation. The story that once seemed impossible to escape eventually became only one chapter in a much larger life story for everyone involved. And that may be the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the chapter that feels like the end is actually the beginning of something new. Sometimes our lowest moments become the foundation for our greatest growth. Emma Thompson's journey reminds us that heartbreak can leave scars, but it does not have to destroy hope. It can become a source of wisdom, a source of strength, a reminder that even after profound loss, life can still offer new opportunities, new relationships, and new reasons to move forward. As we look back on this remarkable story, one thing becomes clear. People do not remember Emma Thompson simply because she experienced heartbreak. They remember her because of how she responded to it. With dignity, with honesty, and ultimately with grace. And while this story may feel complete, Hollywood is filled with other journeys where fame hid struggles that few people ever saw. In our next documentary, we'll uncover another celebrity story that reveals what was really happening behind the spotlight. Many people expected Emma Thompson's personal heartbreak to affect her career. Hollywood has seen countless stars disappear after difficult public scandals. But Emma's story took a different path. Instead of stepping away, she focused even more on her craft. Film after film, she continued proving why she was considered one of the finest actresses of her generation. Audiences admired her intelligence, humor, and emotional depth. What made this period remarkable was that much of her success came after one of the most painful moments of her life. The public saw awards and red carpets. But behind those achievements was a woman rebuilding her confidence one step at a time. Each role became more than a performance. It became proof that heartbreak had not defeated her. And while many people were still talking about the past, Emma was quietly creating a future that would become even bigger than anyone expected. What happened next would show just how far she had come. Hollywood often celebrates power, fame, and success. But Emma Thompson showed a different kind of strength. The strength to be vulnerable. The strength to admit pain. And the strength to keep moving forward. Over the years, interviews revealed a woman who had gained wisdom from difficult experiences. Rather than pretending everything had been easy, she openly acknowledged the lessons she learned. That honesty made people respect her even more. Many celebrities carefully protect their image. Emma chose authenticity. She showed that even successful people experience heartbreak, disappointment, and self-doubt. For countless fans, that message felt deeply personal. Because her story was no longer just about celebrity relationships. It was about life itself. About finding the courage to continue when things fall apart. And that message continues to inspire people around the world today. Years later, younger audiences continue discovering Emma Thompson's journey. Some know her from classic films. Others know her from modern movies and interviews. But many are surprised to learn about the heartbreak that once dominated headlines. The reason this story still matters is simple. It reflects a truth that never becomes outdated. Fame cannot protect people from pain. Success cannot guarantee happiness. And even the strongest relationships can face unexpected challenges. Yet Emma's story also offers hope, because it shows that recovery is possible, growth is possible, and a difficult ending can become the start of a better chapter. In the end, the betrayal may have created the headlines, but Emma Thompson's resilience created the legacy. And that is the part of the story people continue to remember decades later. Compare with Claude Opus 4.8. Next. One of the most interesting parts of this story is how time changed the way people viewed it. When the news first broke, many saw the situation in simple terms. There was heartbreak, betrayal, and a marriage coming to an end. The media focused on dramatic headlines because drama attracts attention. But real life is rarely that simple. As the years passed, emotions cooled and perspectives changed. People who once followed every headline began looking at the story differently. Instead of focusing only on the scandal, they started noticing the strength it took for those involved to move forward. Emma Thompson never allowed herself to become trapped in the role of a victim. That decision changed everything. She continued creating, acting, writing, and inspiring audiences around the world. Rather than being remembered only for a painful chapter, she became known for a career filled with talent and longevity. That is not an easy thing to achieve in Hollywood. Many careers fade. Many stars disappear. Emma endured. And perhaps that is why her story remains relevant today. Because it is ultimately a story about survival. Not survival in a physical sense, but emotional survival. The ability to keep believing in yourself after disappointment. The ability to trust again after betrayal. The ability to move forward when the future you plan no longer exists. Those lessons reach far beyond celebrity culture. They speak to anyone who has ever had to rebuild their life after a painful setback. And that is what makes Emma Thompson's journey more than just a Hollywood story. It is a human story. One that continues inspiring people long after the headlines